Well, two different generals clash in what is considered to be a battle of true tactics, as this is both Riboku and Ousen's power of strength. Angry Anime fan the despair reviewer here with Kingdom Chapter 606. As Ousen's vessels surprised over the thing is that even Riboku's vessels are a bit surprised. In the end, the people clash, and while it doesn't look like a regular clashing, as it doesn't seem to be as violent, don't get me wrong, it's still death. It's worth noting that they're moving extremely slow, creating an even exchange. Uh, and a pair this startled Olsen's vessels as they really wonder why Riboku is not using his tactics or the men. How and the fact that the Olsen soldiers are just standing out when the next one falls in front of the falls. In the end, they look at it be, and suddenly they realize it's because they're not doing anything that results in the dead even. So, Riboku's vessels feels it's pretty strange that also managed to discover the trick after just a short amount of time. But and Osen's other vessels realizes that it's a different kind of strategy where they seem to react too fast, no matter how they think about it. Olsen himself described it as the origin. Something like when you wishes to grab something, he moves his hand, and before that, the same time, the shoulder moves. His words of origin means that there, for one motion, there will always be another motion, so to speak. And he describes an army to be very similar to that. Those who reach the pinnacle of martial arts are able to detect and read an opponent's movements. With that knowledge or technique, the enemy can find purchase without while but also enabling you to desperate, devastating encounters. So this is actually very similar to how an instinctive general always moves, because after all, Riboku clashed with the pinnacle of instinct general, Duke Huyo, way back then. And just from that short amount of clashing, he was able to deconstruct and decipher the mechanism of how an instinctual type of general work. And after that, hammering into knowledge of strategic type into his command. Therefore, the origin is a combination of both strategic and instinctual, which makes it very difficult to read, as it can both go from logic and illogic in order to really have a combined strength of many things more. It's that is why it's so difficult to read, because it doesn't really have a real pattern, and then they switch to a pattern, but then they switch again, a confusion one where Riboku has managed to really make a lot of people become instinctual even if they are not, and vice versa, as Olsen himself described, just like himself. Well, modest must. Riboku is truly a monster. So, so the and the Riboku's vessel is also realizing that their lack of tactics information leave them vulnerable, like a helpless child. So they try to do something else, but and while it looks like it's still an even clash, there Olsen suddenly detects there's something else in the right wing. With that, Olsen's power actually managed to overpower the army from now, as Riboku realized that also managed to read it, and he considers origin now to become surprisingly clear. Still not exactly 100% sure on what happened, but the origin is a type where everything can become anything and nothing can become nothing. It's a movement of many different movements. What it waits next is not exactly known, and that is why there are dead even when you hammer into it all. Is that meant to imply that Orson also can use instinctual general types despite being as master strategic? Well, I guess it makes sense. He acknowledges Riboku as a strategic monster, so I guess we have to take it for a true. In the end, though, who is to win? Well, we don't know. Right now, the Olsen army managed to temporarily overpower, but this battle tactics It's not gonna end anytime soon. That's basically this chapter. Just information, really. Very difficult to understand, but it is what it is. And the Osen is so far overpowering Riboku for this moment. But again, Riboku will not take this lying down. So give me your thoughts if you have any.